Welcome back, my fellow nightmare enthusiasts, to a place where shadows dance and whispers echo with the chills of 1,000 sleepless nights. Tonight we plunge headfirst into the heart of terror, the bone-chilling unknown that lurks within the very walls meant to protect us from chaos. Oh yes, tonight we're talking about firehouses. Those brave souls, those heroes in suspenders who race into the belly of a blaze while we flee. They see things. Let the flickering glow of your screens be your only solace as we unravel 3 tales from firehouses where the flames never truly settled and the nightmares are always on duty. Our first stop takes us to a weathered brick firehouse on the edge of a forgotten town, a place where the air hangs heavy with a century of soot and sacrifice. The locals whisper tales of Engine 13, a hulking beast of a machine that once roared to life within those very walls. Engine 13 was the pride of the firehouse until that fateful night. The alarm screamed, the firefighters scrambled, and the engine tore through the darkness, sirens splitting the quiet night. But it never reached its destination. A mangled wreck by the side of a deserted road, every soul on board lost in a twisted inferno. They say the crash site still smolders, a perpetual reminder of that horrific night. But the real horror, the lingering evil, took root back at the firehouse. Footsteps echo in the dead of night, heavy and rhythmic like the march of booted feet. Tools vanish only to reappear in impossible places. And the deafening clang of the fire bell shatters the silence when there's not a soul around. But the most unsettling presence of all, the one that chills the very marrow, is the phantom roar of Engine 13. On the anniversary of the crash, as the clock strikes midnight, a deep, guttural rumble shakes the foundation of the firehouse. Some say it's the wail of the departed firefighters, forever trapped in their final moments. There was a rookie, barely old enough to shave. He'd begged to ride Engine 13 that night, his youthful enthusiasm bubbling over. The older guys, grizzled veterans with weary eyes, they just laughed and ruffled his hair. He was supposed to be on cleanup duty back at the firehouse. But fate, it seems, had other plans. Now they say it's his laughter that echoes through the empty halls, a chilling counterpoint to the mournful groan of the phantom engine. The firefighters who work there now, they tell stories of seeing a young man in the flickering shadows, his face obscured by smoke and time. They say he's searching for something he lost in the flames, or perhaps something he left behind. One night, a seasoned firefighter, a man who scoffed at ghost stories and laughed in the face of fear, found himself alone in the firehouse. The wind howled outside, rattling the old windows in their frames. He was making his rounds, checking the equipment, when he heard it. A soft sob, barely audible above the storm. He followed the sound to the old locker room, a place thick with the scent of stale sweat and forgotten dreams. The lockers stood open, their contents undisturbed. But there in the corner, huddled beneath a single flickering light bulb, was the young rookie. The firefighter froze, his blood turning to ice in his veins. The rookie's face was pale, his eyes wide with terror. He reached out a trembling hand, his voice a raspy whisper. "Help me," he pleaded. "I can't find my way out." The firefighter took a step forward, his hand outstretched. But as he did, the lights flickered once, then died completely, plunging the locker room into darkness. Our next tale takes us to the bustling heart of a metropolis, where a towering firehouse stands sentinel over a gridlock of dreams and despair. They call it Old Ironside, a testament to its resilience in the face of countless infernos. But within its steel-ribbed chest beats a heart of sorrow, a story whispered in hushed tones by those who know better than to tempt fate. It's the story of Captain Elias Stone, a man whose courage was forged in the very fires he fought. They say he could smell smoke before the alarm even sounded, his intuition as keen as the blade of his fireman's axe. He led his crew with unwavering resolve, a beacon of hope in the darkest of nights. But even the bravest hearts can falter, and Captain Stone's final stand was one for the ages. A raging inferno consumed a tenement building, trapping families inside their tiny apartments. Stone, without hesitation, charged into the heart of the blaze, his silhouette a flickering shadow against the inferno's glow. He emerged hours later, singed and coughing, carrying a limp form in his arms. A little girl, her eyes wide with terror but alive, thanks to Captain Stone's selfless bravery. He handed her off to the waiting paramedics, a weary smile gracing his soot-stained face. Then he collapsed. His heart, they say, had given out. He'd spent his last ounce of strength saving that little girl. Now his spirit lingers within the firehouse walls, watching over his crew, a silent guardian in the ever-present shadow of tragedy. The firefighters speak of a presence in the firehouse, an unseen hand guiding them, a voice whispering warnings in the heat of the moment. One young firefighter, fresh out of the academy, was assigned to Captain Stone's old locker. He'd heard the stories, of course, but dismissed them as hazing rituals, a way to test the newbies. That is, until he found the old pocket watch. It was tucked away in the back of the locker, nestled among cobwebs and forgotten dreams. A heavy silver timepiece engraved with the initials ES. He tried to ignore it, tried to convince himself it was just a coincidence. But the watch seemed to call to him, its cold metal humming against his palm. That night, as he lay in his bunk, the fire alarm shrieked. He scrambled out of bed, adrenaline coursing through his veins. As he pulled on his gear, he noticed the watch on his nightstand. He hadn't put it there. He snatched it up, a shiver crawling down his spine. As they raced towards the inferno, the watch felt heavy in his pocket, its ticking a steady rhythm against his leg. The fire was a beast, consuming everything in its path. As he charged into the inferno, he heard it, a voice calm and steady, whispering in his ear. "To your left, son. There's a family trapped in there." He followed the voice, his heart pounding in his chest. And there they were, a mother and her 2 children huddled together in a corner, their faces pale with fear. Our final journey takes us down a forgotten back road, deep into the bowels of the bayou, where moss-draped trees stand like gnarled sentinels guarding secrets best left buried. There, shrouded in mist and legend, lies a crumbling firehouse. They say it's cursed, a place where hope goes to die and evil festers like a wound. It wasn't always this way. Once it was a beacon of hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The firefighters who manned this station were a different breed, tough, resourceful, and fiercely loyal to their community. They faced every challenge with unwavering courage, their bonds forged in the crucible of shared danger. But their luck, as they say, was about to run out. A string of tragedies befell the firehouse, each one more bizarre, more horrific than the last. It began with a freak accident during a training exercise, a young recruit caught beneath a toppled ladder, his life snuffed out in an instant. Then came the fire that seemed to defy all reason. It erupted without warning, a wall of flame that engulfed the nearby church. The firefighters fought valiantly, but the blaze seemed to have a life of its own, driven by an unseen force. When the smoke cleared, 3 more firefighters were gone, their bodies never recovered from the charred rubble. Whispers of a curse began to circulate. The locals whispered tales of a deal gone wrong, a pact made with a dark entity in the early days of the firehouse's construction. They said the price for the firehouse's protection had finally come due. The remaining firefighters, haunted by the loss of their brethren, refused to believe these stories. They were men of science, of logic and reason. But as the tragedies mounted, their resolve began to crumble. One by one, they met their fate. One died of a sudden, inexplicable illness, his body ravaged from the inside out. Another vanished without a trace, his truck found abandoned by the swamp, its engine still running. And the last, driven mad by grief and fear, took his own life within the firehouse walls, his screams echoing through the empty halls. The firehouse was abandoned, left to rot beneath the unforgiving southern sun. but the curse, it seemed, remained. So there you have it, my fellow night owls, 3 tales of terror from those who stare into the abyss of flame and emerge forever changed. The next time you hear the wail of a siren or see the flicker of red and blue reflecting in your window, remember the sacrifices made, the stories whispered in hushed tones. If you enjoyed tonight's descent into darkness, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to join our macabre little family. And if you dare, share your own encounters with the unexplained in the comments below. Until next time, my friends, sleep tight if you can.